Hey guys, I saw this article on this website and it caught my eye. It says extract data from an HTML table using VBA, and I'm a VBA programmer, database programmer, and I've never seen anybody try to scrape from a web page using VBA, just because web is not really a VBA friendly thing. But I've just been recently getting really involved with Power Query, and I wanted to give a stab at trying to do it with Power Query, and I'm going to demonstrate here how quickly I can do that. What really helped me here was, I guess one of the challenges on this site was finding a way to click a button to get you to the actual page you want to see, and someone had already figured that out in here, and here's the website. So if I open up this website and I just come up here and grab that URL, and this is the site that I want to pull this data into Excel so I can do something more with it. And Power Query is really great at doing something like this. So I'm just going to copy this address, go into Excel to a new worksheet, hit the data ribbon, and this area up here in the ribbon is kind of what's known as Power Query, although there's a Power Query editor that's really what I want to focus on. We're going to pick from web. I'm capturing a smaller area of my monitor, so this works well for people with smaller monitors. I'm just going to paste in that address from that website in there. It's going to go out and analyze that website, and from that website it realizes that there's some small table on there, and then here's the main table. We want to pull all the data from that, so we're going to hit edit, and this will bring up the Power Query editor. It's showing us the data. This is the main area here where we're going to be viewing our data. There's a formula bar up here. It's a little different than the Excel formula bar. I'm going to try to get through this quick. You can learn more about this on YouTube, but that's the formulas. This is a little bit like the macro recorder, and every step we do, it's going to record over here. So the first step is it points to the source. So it goes to that website. It recognizes there's two tables there. We're picking one of those tables, and it automatically tries to detect what the column headings data type is, and we don't really need that step right now, so I'm going to delete that. For some reason it thought the column headings in here were in here twice, so I'm going to tell it delete this row. So remove the top row. It's going to prompt me. Now some other things I want to change here. I see that there's a row number in here, and I want to split that column so I can separate the row number, and I'm going to split by the first right parenthesis. There could be other parentheses in there, so that's why I'm choosing that. And then you see it ends up with two columns here. I want to rename this column, and this will be my row, and I want to rename this column, and this will be the model. I want to specify a data type for each one of these columns. You can see this one says, well, actually it looks like it did it for me here in this change type. It guessed at what the data type was. This is my second pass at doing this, and it didn't guess them correctly the first time, but you can see it has, this is a dollar type. If I wanted to change the type to be another type, I just come in here and pick, and if I wanted that to be a date, it would format as a date, but I don't like that, so I'm just going to delete that step. Now one other thing I want to do here is I want to get rid of all the pluses. So I'm going to replace values. I'm going to tell it to find the pluses and get rid of them. Now you can see there's spaces in there, so I'm going to want to trim that. Before I do the trim though, I also noticed that the true sine wave there doesn't have a space in front of the parenthesis, and I'd like to see that. So I'll do replace values again. I'll tell it to look for true, but this time I wanted to put a space in front of any time it sees true. And now I want to trim any extra spaces that are in that column. I think that's all. I could apply a sort. There's other things that can be done. At any time that website changes, you could refresh, and it's just going to run through these steps again. And one other thing I want to show you is this advanced editor here. is all the steps. So I can take this, copy and paste it into Notepad and email it to somebody, or edit it, or you can actually edit right in here. I like using it in Notepad++ because I have a theme, so it does syntax highlighting. If you were to do this from Power BI, all the same features are in Power BI, but in Power BI, as of this date, they have coloring. They might have IntelliSense in their version also, but not so far yet in Excel 2016. So I'm done with this. I can give it a name for this table. I could call it size my UPS, and I'm going to close this Power Query Editor. Another thing I'll point out here real quick is when you're in the Power Query Editor, this form is modal. You can't get back to Excel. So if you're jumping back and forth trying to view something like another sheet that maybe you want the data to look like, you're not going to be able to do that. But hit close and load, and it just created a new sheet and created a table on that sheet that is linked to that Power Query script. And I can come in here and I can delete data, and I can right click and say refresh, and it's going to go out to that website and refresh the data. I ran through this pretty quick. Hopefully it gives you an idea of what the potential is. I think Power Query is really cool. If I need to go back and edit that Power Query from the data ribbon, you can hit queries and connections, which opens up this panel over on the right side. I can right click here and hit edit, and I'm back in the Power Query editor. Another thing to be careful with here is there's no undo. So if I delete a step, there's no way to get that back. So one of the things I've learned is take this and copy and paste it into Notepad++ every so often, so you have something to go back to. And if you make a whole lot of changes in here and then make a change you don't want, all you're going to be able to do is close. When you close this, you either get to choose to discard your changes or keep your changes. There's no saving along the way. So I'll stop recording. I hope this is informative to you, and you can learn something, a new way to pull data without using VBA. Thank you.